Tofunmi Adebayo had everything: brains, ambition, and a future so bright it made his mother proud. But brilliance alone isn't enough. The friends he chose pulled him from lecture halls into nightclubs, from scholarship tables into fraud rings, from honor into handcuffs. His life collapsed before it even began. Yet, in the silence of disgrace, an old carpenter, a girl with a scar, and a new circle of friends showed him that failure is not the end, but a turning point. This is the story of how the company you keep can either destroy your destiny or rebuild it. Tofunmi Adebayo had always been told his head was too big, both physically and otherwise. "Aha, tofu," his mother would tease. "You carry brain like basket. Use 'em well, oh, or now you go carry last." He usually laughed it off, but deep down, he believed her. From the dusty streets of Okadu in Ibadan, where he grew up, to the corridors of UI, where he studied economics, Tofunmi believed he was destined for greatness. Not just regular success, the kind you could post about with dollar signs and hashtags. He was 22, brilliant, and ambitious. His WEC results were flawless. He won a federal scholarship in 100 level. He tutored other students for side income. Everything was aligning. But intelligence, as life would later teach him, is only half the journey. The other half, company. And that was where the crack began. At the start of his second year, Tofunmi got bored with books. Not bored in a lazy way, but in the "I'm tired of always being the smart one" way. He wanted excitement, popularity, girls who wore mini skirts and knew the difference between vibes and value. He wanted to belong, not just to clubs, but to something cool. Enter Remy, Flex, and Big Daimeji, boys from Lagos who oozed swagger, designer slippers, and the scent of foreign deodorant. They weren't top of the class, but they were always at the center of noise, jokes, and girls. Remy smoked weed, but still managed to pass. Flex had an iPhone 14 and claimed he was into crypto and importation. Big Daimeji was the muscle. He didn't say much, but his tattooed biceps did the talking. Tofunmi found them magnetic. Not because they were better, but because they were different, dangerous, free. And slowly he shifted. Late-night hangs replaced tutorial sessions. Class attendance dropped. His grades slid from 4.7 to 3.9 in one semester. But none of that bothered him yet. He was too busy catching crews. By third year, Tofunmi had a new nickname on campus, T-Fresh. His voice had deepened, his walk slowed to a confident swagger, and he now wore braided cornrows once every 2 weeks at Cut and Lace, the trendy barbershop near Agbowo. T-Fresh didn't do Nescafe and bread anymore. He now took shawarma and Smirnoff at lounges like Swerve and After Dark. His Instagram was filled with photos captioned, "Houday Breathe." But behind the filtered pictures and flashy clothes, his reality was cracking. His scholarship had been withdrawn, citing academic performance inconsistency. His mother called more often now, asking why he hadn't sent money home in months. The tutoring gigs stopped when his grades dropped. His account was often on red. But Remy always had a solution. "Guy, forget books. I go plug you into something real," Remy said one night as they sat behind the Faculty of Arts building, the glow of weed smoke curling in the air. He introduced Tofunmi to a Telegram group. There were codes, fake gift cards, bung eps, airdrops, just cash outs, they called them, fraud and designer clothing. At first, Tofunmi resisted, but hunger has a loud voice. 1 week later, after begging Flex for a loan and being mocked to shame, he accepted the link. The first run earned him 140,000 naira. He spent 20,000 naira immediately on new sneakers. Sent 10,000 naira to his mother. Took Tenny, the girl he'd been chasing for months, out to eat at Chicken Republic. She kissed him that night. He couldn't stop. The next one? 280,000 naira. T-Fresh was reborn. In December of that year, Flex invited him to Lagos for Dedi December. The city swallowed him whole. Its lights, its madness, the reckless beauty of freedom. They lodged at a short-let in Lekki, partied in clubs where the music was so loud it made your thoughts vibrate. He danced beside celebrities. He threw money at dancers like it wasn't real. For the first time in his life, Tofunmi felt untouchable, until it all came crashing. One night, after a cash-out went wrong, Daimeji stormed into the apartment, livid. The client had traced the account. The police were sniffing. And worse, someone from their own Telegram group had snitched. Tofu beg lie low. No post anything. And delete your Instagram now, Remy instructed. But it was too late. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, raided the apartment the next morning. Screams, chaos, red jackets, laptops seized, phones yanked. Tofunmi tried to jump the balcony but slipped, bruising his ribs. He was locked up for 4 days. He saw rats the size of cats in that holding cell, heard men scream and confess to things they never did. He vomited twice, slept beside urine. No Remy, no Flakes, no Dimeji. They had used fake names to check in at the shortlet. Tofunmi had used his real name and BVN. He was the only one traceable. When he was finally granted bail, it was his father, silent, long disappointed, and graying, who came with a family lawyer. The drive back to Ibadan was silent, the air thick with shame. He returned to school to find out he had been suspended indefinitely. He lost his hostel space. His mother stopped picking his calls. Even Tenny blocked him. T-Fresh was now Tofunmi again, stripped, broken, angry, and alone. But it was in that wreckage that something or someone began to rebuild him. Tofunmi moved back home to Okadu like a wounded lion. The once promising son was now a whisper on every street corner. The neighbors gossiped in code. Ah, that boy way day UI before. You do something online, dem catcham. His father said little, but the silence was louder than a slap. It was his mother who hurt him the most, not with words, but with absence. She no longer made his favorite yam porridge. No more morning prayers. No more, my son, how you day? She looked at him like she didn't recognize the boy she raised. He spent weeks indoors, depressed, ashamed, tired. Then, one afternoon, someone knocked. It was Mr. Adebayo, the local carpenter, an old, wiry man with gray eyebrows, permanently dusty trousers, and a voice that always sounded like gravel. Tofunmi had helped him years ago with an email account for his daughter. Omo Adebayo, he said, not pitying but firm. I hear what happened. I no come to beg you. I come say, make you follow me go workshop. To do what? To use your hand, learn better thing. No be everything be book. And no be every mistake not end of life. Tofunmi hesitated. He hadn't lifted a hammer in his life. But something about Adegun's eyes, no judgment, no mockery, stirred something old in him. That week, he followed the old man to his workshop behind Sabo Market. The first days were tough. Blisters, surback, shame. But in that little space filled with sawdust, bent nails, and gospel music, something started to return. Discipline. Adegun taught with gentleness. Carpentry no be just woodwork, he said. Na metaphor. You see crack? You fix am. You see crooked? You straighten am. Same with life. As weeks turned to months, Tofunmi began to smile again. He wasn't proud yet, but he was present. Then one day, a girl walked into the workshop to repair a broken stool, and his healing took a new turn. She wore a plain ochre dress, carried a camera, and had a scar above her right eyebrow. Saad. She introduced herself, adjusting her glasses. Tofunmi fumbled the stool she brought in and nearly hit his shin. She laughed. You be apprentice? To an extent, he replied shyly. She was a final-year mass communication student at Poly Ibadan, documenting local artisans for her final project. Her father was once a carpenter too. She liked the smell of wood, and she asked too many questions. In the days that followed, she returned to the workshop often, camera in hand, curiosity in her eyes. And little by little, she and Tofunmi formed a rhythm. They would sit under the mango tree during breaks, sharing pure water and secrets. He didn't tell her everything at first, just that he was on a break from school. But she knew there was more. You have the eyes of someone who lost something important, she once said softly. That statement cracked him. One afternoon, as the sun melted the Ibadan sky into gold, he told her everything. UI, EFCC, betrayal, shame, fear. She listened, not flinching. then said the words that stitched a wound no sermon ever could. Failure is not identity. You just wear the wrong friends like a jacket. Remove it. From that moment, Tofunmi saw her differently, not as a girl with glasses, but as a mirror, one that didn't distort him, one that reflected possibility. It was Saad who encouraged him to reapply to school. You can still graduate, she insisted. You're not dead. He didn't believe it at first, but she helped him gather documents, write appeal letters, and even fasted with him. Her friends, Yemi, Bisola, and Whale, became his new circle. They prayed together, shared books, sent job links, talked about purpose. Tofunmi was stunned. He had found a new crew, not the type that smoked and chased shallow highs, but ones who built. And slowly, life started changing again. 6 months later, Tofunmi was reinstated into UI. Not immediately, not fully, but enough to finish his final year. He walked through the campus gates in fresh clothes and a cleaner heart. No more cornrows, no fake accent, just Tofunmi, the real one. Raw, redeemed. The whispers returned, of course. Isn't that the guy YFCC picked? Oh, Naim. I hear say a mama faint that time. See him now day form holy. But this time, he didn't shrink. He had learned that people will always talk. What mattered was whose voice he carried inside him. He returned to classes, spent breaks in the library, volunteered for student outreach programs, even started a mentorship WhatsApp group called Better Circle, where he told younger students, your friends are your future roommates. Choose carefully. By the time he graduated, he had no first class, no applause. But he had peace, and direction, and character, and that was enough. On the day of convocation, his mother cried into his shoulder. His father smiled for the first time in years. Mr. Adebayo gifted him a carved clock with the words, time is a carpenter. It can fix anything. And Saad? She wore yellow that day and whispered, I told you so. After graduation, Tofunmi didn't rush into anything. No desperate search for quick success. No envy when old friends posted cars and soft life abroad. He understood now that fruit without roots would always rot quickly. He returned to Mr. Adebayo's workshop part-time while interning with a small financial literacy NGO in Ibadan. They were running programs in rural communities, helping farmers understand savings, teaching students about entrepreneurship, and training women in cooperatives. Tofunmi thrived. His voice had matured. His ideas were now rooted in lived experience, not recycled tweets. And people listened to him, not just because of his certificates, but because his scars gave his words weight. One day, while speaking a youth seminar in Makola, he met Pastor Timoleon, a sharp-eyed man with a passion for youth development. The pastor took interest in him and offered to mentor him. I don't need perfection to fund me, he said. I just need someone who is teachable. And from your story, you are. Through Pastor Timoleon, Tofunmi got introduced to networks he could never have imagined before. Social impact projects, tech hubs, nonprofit grants. It wasn't flashy, but it was real, and it was impactful. By age 26, he co-founded the Recircle Initiative, a youth-led organization that trains secondary school students on life direction, values, and peer influence. He even partnered with UI, his alma mater, to run a special event, Friendship and Future Week. When he stepped into the same UI auditorium where he once smoked weed with Remy, he felt something sacred. Not guilt, closure. One rainy afternoon, as he scrolled through Instagram, Tofunmi saw a video. Remy was in it, dressed in white prison overalls, face blurred slightly, being escorted into a courtroom in Ogun State. The caption read, Notorious Yahoo syndicate leader arrested by EFCC in Sagamu. Tofunmi stared at the screen for long minutes. He remembered their nights in Lekki, their runs, the laughter, the recklessness, the emptiness. He thought of how close he had come to being that headline. But he wasn't angry. He wasn't proud either. Just grateful. Grateful for Saad, for Adebayo, for Pastor Timoleon, for the second chance, for the change of circle that changed everything. And it dawned on him. You don't outgrow bad influence. You replace it. That night, at a small cafe near Bodija, he met with Saad. She was now working with an NGO that documented community resilience through photography. Her smile hadn't changed, but her presence had deepened. She was rooted too. They talked, laughed, prayed, and then sat in silence, watching rain tickle the cafe windows. "I want to marry you," he said, not rehearsed, not dramatic, just honest. She looked at him with the calm of someone who already knew. "I know, but I want you to finish healing first. Then let's walk forward." As builders, at age 30, Tofunmi stood on a TEDx stage in Lagos, wearing a navy blue blazer and a leather bracelet carved by Adigun himself. The room was packed. He began, "When I was 19, I wanted to belong. When I was 21, I belonged to the wrong people. When I was 23, I lost everything. When I was 24, I met a carpenter, a girl with a scar, and a circle that showed me healing. And today, I run a movement that helps thousands of young Nigerians understand this truth. Your friends are not just companions. They are compasses. Choose them with your future in mind." The room erupted in applause. Later that night, as he walked out with Saad, now his wife, and their toddler son, a young boy approached him. "Sir," he said, clutching a notepad, "I've made mistakes. I don't know where to start again." Tofunmi smiled, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Start here," he said. "Start by changing your circle." And they walked off into the night, carrying not perfection, but purpose. White heavy checkmark moral of the story. Your life moves in the direction of the people around you. If you surround yourself with shallow, destructive influences, you will drift into ruin, no matter how gifted you are. But if you walk with those who build, sharpen, and challenge you to grow, you will rise from anything, even your own worst mistakes. Choose your circle with your destiny in mind. That brings us to the end of the story. What lesson did you take from it? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you'll know whenever we release a new video. Also, feel free to share this with someone who might enjoy it. Thank you so much.